Hi everyone, it's Julie from Quilts Plus. It's week three of the beach bracelets. I hope you are just enjoying this quilt. I love it. I love the way it's looking. I've got my quilt top done, which is what you're going to be doing this week. It's just been a blast. We have so loved connecting with you through the grab and go when you guys have been able to give us a call at the store, and we've been able to get product to you. So we are continuing that. So every Wednesday from 1 until 3 we are having grab and go, and you can get your thread, you can get your, if you need refills on blades, whatever you need, that is going to be available to you. Give a call in the morning on Wednesday, or if it's too late on Wednesday and it's a Thursday or Friday, give a call anyway and you can pick that up next Wednesday. We are going to make sure that you guys have what you need. So our phone number is 269-383-1790. Well, I miss you guys, but I also know that everybody's being safe, and that's the most important thing right now. I did want to just let you know that we are looking forward to opening up again as soon as we can, but we know that we have to listen to the folks in charge, and it's important that we are all going to be staying safe and staying home. Okay, so it's week 3, you guys. You've got your blocks done. What do you think of them? I love mine. They're so pretty. And they're just coming together so beautifully. I've had phone calls and I've received emails with your questions, and I am so glad that you're reaching out so that I can reach back and we can get those questions answered. Thank you for emailing, and I appreciate you doing that. I don't want anyone frustrated. That is not part of this quilt. This is just supposed to be something that's we are gonna enjoy doing together, especially right now. We need this. All right, you guys, so you have your quilt blocks done. It's time now where we're going to add the sashing in between the blocks to make our rows. And what I did with mine first is I took my blocks and I laid them out on my floor so that I could get a good idea of how they were going to look together. As I did that, I looked at the instructions in my information on my pattern, and I noticed that they have you making very specific cuts for sashing, for your sashing that goes in between your blocks, as well as your rows, and then your borders. So I really think we need to focus on completing our top right now. We can work on borders next week and we'll get those done, and we can talk about that later. But for now, we're going to work on completing your top. So I wanted you to take your time. So you're going to be cutting your sashing 1.5 by 11.5. If that's the size of if your block is 11.5 inches, then that's the size of sashing you're going to need for your rows. Now, if your blocks turned out to be a different size, you're going to want to cut your sashing accordingly to that same size of block. So it will be 1.5 by, let's say, 11 if that's the size of your block. And then from there, you're going to be attaching your sashing to the block. You're going to be obviously sewing that. Now, if you want to sew a scant quarter inch, I would recommend that again, just so you don't lose your points. The most important thing is not losing your points on this. If you have to make that quarter inch more like 1/8, I understand it. You want to keep that point. And I'm not saying that you are going to need to do that, but I'm just saying pay attention to that. It's important at this point. We can work around other things later on, but right now you want to keep those points. Once you have sewn on your sashing, you're going to be ironing. You're going to be ironing so that you are ironing towards your sashing, not towards your block, towards your sashing. That's what you're going to be doing, and you're going to repeat that process for all of your rows. Once your rows are on, then from there you are going to measure your row. On one of the steps, on step number 3, I believe, let's see here, number 2, it talks about the length that you need to be cutting that. They're saying a certain size, certain length. I want you to measure your rows, each one of them, to see how wide they actually are, how long, wide they are, and then you're going to be cutting your sashing accordingly. If the majority of your rows, let's say, are 78 inches, let's just say that, I'm just giving it as an example, then that is exactly how wide you would want to cut those. Now, I know it's not 78, but I'm just giving that as an example. 47.5 inches is what they're saying in your pattern. Not all of your rows will be that, since you've been using that scant 1/4 inch. So measure your rows. Mine came out to be 48 inches, not 47.5. That's the case. All your sashing needs to be 48 inches. Even if you have a row that's like 47 7/8 or 47.5, you're going to need to make that fit, because you want to keep all of those rows being the same size. And if the majority are 48 inches, then that's how you need to cut it. Okay? Again, when you're pinning those on, take your time, because this is when you're putting that whole, you're going to be putting row after row onto that sashing, and you're going to want to make sure that that is laying correctly, that you've lined up seams. So pinning is important. Take your time with your pinning. Also, once you've put your sashing on, it's important that you iron, and when you iron, you're going to iron towards your sashing again. Okay? This will take time. Please take your time. You want to line up your seams across from each other as those rows go together. That is going to make a big difference, and you want those to line up in a beautiful way, and it's going to come together. Again, I did a scant 1/4 inch so that I wasn't ironing over, or excuse me, I wasn't sewing over my points. Phew. All right, you guys, so once that's done, you've got your completed quilt top done. We haven't put borders on yet, but look at it. Look at what you've done. It's gorgeous. It's amazing. Yay, you get to rejoice. I wanted to also bring up the fact that now might be the time to consider looking at your backing fabric and your binding fabric. Now, for your binding fabric, you're going to need 2/3 of a yard. And then for your backing fabric, it's going to be 3 7/8. I would round that up to 4, just so that you can cut that in half, and then you can seam that at the back and then put that on. If you decide to do 108 wide fabric, it's going to be 2 yards. So kind of look and see what you have, and then also you can call the store. You know, we love to email back and forth. We can send pictures back and forth, whatever we need to do. We can help you personal shop through that. But I would recommend looking at that now, and then we can talk more about quilting and things like that next week after we take care of our borders. So you guys have a great, blessed week. I look forward to talking with you again soon. And post your pictures. I want to see how you're doing. I can't wait to see and talk to you guys again. Take care.